If you've ever said, I just don't have enough time during the week, there's no way I can squeeze in exercise, let alone plan out a meal or two during the week because there's just too much on my plate. Well, if you've made that statement, I'm going to share with you a quick way that I add 5 hours to my work week. Yes, 5 hours to my work week to make sure that I make time for self-care. It's your girl, Coach Nick, in this beautifully well conversation with a quick tip on this self-care Sunday. If you've been questioning how to add more time to your day, we only get 24 hours, but how do you make the most of it? Well, in this quick video, I'm going to share with you how a woman working 5 days a week in that 9 to 5, 8 to 4 window, wherever that may be, who has to leave the house to go into the office, right? If you're working from home, then you'll just adjust this tip. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, then you'll actually see the visual that I'm going to use to just make this come to life. For those of you tuning into the podcast, thank you as always. I'll paint a pretty good visual through words. So let's just jump right in. Monday through Friday is a journey for every single one of us. From the time you wake up till the time you're either logging into that computer or getting to work, getting into that office, before you know it, it's 5 p.m. Time to jump back in a car, heading off the traffic, doing whatever you do before you get home. And then, wow, before you know it, it's now time to turn the lights out, go to bed, and go on repeat all over again. Well, at the end of the day moves along each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all with the same routine, the same pattern, where it gives the appearance of no time. But I'm here to tell you, if you're willing to try this quick tip, you can add 5 hours of self-care time to your work week. So in this scenario, we have a person who workday runs from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're on an 8 to 5. And they have to get into the office, which is not far from home. So in this scenario, we are looking at a schedule where you're waking up at 6:30 in the morning. You have to arrive at 8 a.m. The office is not far from home, maybe 20 minutes from home. You clock out at 5, but maybe there's a little running around and you're at home by 6 p.m. There's dinner. Your goal is to be in bed no later than 10. What we're going to do is dissect this schedule from top to bottom and look for opportunities where we can carve out some time. If you're on a budget, if you've recently written out your budget, and I'm talking about your bills, just as a prime example, most recently I decided to put a little more effort into my personal financial planning and realized that it's not until you start writing this stuff down that you recognize that you're either spending too much money in areas that you shouldn't, or maybe even not enough money in other areas like savings, that to actually write it down, writing that budget down, assessing what's coming in and what's going out is eye-opening. If it has been for you, then trust this process because time works the same way. Just like money is an asset, time is truly the most valuable asset. And when we're unaware of how we're spending our time because we are in a pattern of consistency Monday through Friday, really easily time slips away. So in this scenario that I just painted, we're going to look at some opportunities that we can carve out some time based on the time that we're already using. 6:30 a.m. is the wake up, arriving at the office at 8 a.m. So you're leaving out the house about 7:30. Remember, we said it's pretty close. There's this really cool hour happening between 6:30 and 7:30 when you're leaving a house. What's happening within that hour could be a number of things. I'd like for you to just take a moment and write down the time that you wake up, not the snooze button, but the time that you're actually up out the bed until you are arriving at work or clocking in for work for the day. You see that time. In the midst of that time, what is happening during that window? In the scenario that I'm showing on the screen, breakfast is happening, a cup of coffee is being made at home. The prep for work, of course, is your usual. You're just refreshing yourself, cleaning yourself up, getting your clothes on, and rolling out. That's in the morning. So at this moment, you know how much time that you have in between the time that you wake up and the time that you're actually working. Keep that time in mind. Now, during the workday, we said 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's a 9-hour day. Maybe there's an hour-long lunch break. We're not cutting into that. We're not trying to figure out how to squeeze in 5 or 10 minutes to go take a walk around the office or to go take a break. That's a whole nother scenario. We're going to leave work at work and let work be the work. But now you're home. You've logged off of that computer. It is 6 p.m. What time are you actually home? And now let's face it, we know that Monday through Friday, there may be some days where there are other activities, non-negotiables that you have going on, that it's that one day of the week that that's a non-controllable, right? That one day during the week could be a number of things, could be spiritual activities, it could be uh sports, it could be after school activities, it could be that you're leaving there, maybe you're still in school, or there's a project that you're working on in the evening. So we're not talking about that day. We won't get there yet. We're talking about your typical work week. And now you've punched out the clock and you are at home. What time are you finally at home, stationary? And then what time are you turning the light out? Know that window of time, because what we're going to do is dive into what's happening during these hours. And remember, we're talking about a typical day. No, all of a sudden, somebody calls. Now you have to pick up grandchildren, or now you have to go pick up dad's medication. We're talking about your typical day. Now that you know what the span of hours are in the morning and in the evening, let's take a look. In our schedule that you see, in the visual, the wake up is at 6:30. There's an hour from the time that you wake up till the time that you hit the office. So here we go. Within that hour, is it possible to carve out 30 minutes? Is it possible? Let's find out. If you're waking up at 6:30, your clothes are already out, clothes are already ironed, you've prepared your lunch the night before. When you wake up and you're freshening up to get your clothes on, literally, how much time does that actually take? Could you get that done? Could it be done in 15 minutes? maybe 20 minutes at the most. If you have to get the face together too. Literally. I mean, everything's lined up. It's ready to go. You're getting up, freshening up, putting clothes on, fixing your face. Let's just say 20 minutes, give or take 20 minutes. Breakfast is really light. Or maybe on your way to work, you're grabbing a cup of coffee. So you're up at 6:30, but technically by 7 o'clock, you could be ready to leave for work, but that's a bit too early. Is it possible from 6:30 to 7 that that half an hour of time becomes your window of opportunity to carve out some time for yourself? Whether it's just to sit and quiet and meditate, uh, could it be that you actually have time to put in a 30-minute workout? That's the question. There's the silence. Because in the morning, if you dissect that morning routine, we're just looking at where's that window of opportunity. Now, what if you notice that 6:30, well, that 30 minutes could be pushing it. Every 5 minutes will count. Is it possible to wake up at 6:15? Will those 15 minutes make or break your day? Probably not, especially if you decide to use some of this time that you're going to give back to yourself for self-care, for exercise, so that you can increase your energy. And what's 15 minutes? You can make 15 minutes go a long way. So in the new schedule, you decide instead of the 6:30 a.m. wake up, you're going to wake up at 6:15, get a little bit refreshed before you decide to hop into a 30-minute workout, and then prepare yourself to be ready to go off to work. If you decided to get up 15 minutes earlier, that's at 6:15, by 6:45, you've had a really good workout, 6:45, 6:50. You'll take about those 20 minutes to get yourself freshened up and ready for work. And you're even out the door a little 10 minutes earlier than expected and at work like you need to be way ahead of time, a few minutes before 8 a.m. You've just given yourself a half an hour. Take a look at the evening because now you're sitting on 30 minutes of time. Now it's in the evening, you are at home, and we know what happens when you're at home, right? Food will not make itself. You're prepping dinner, you're taking a deep breath. Maybe you've even put on some comfortable clothes. You're thinking about watching your favorite show. You're in relax mode. And let's face it, we're talking 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's a 4-hour window. What's happening in this scenario in 4 hours? For you, you know your time. But I'm quite sure you have at least 2 to 3 hours, 3 hours at a minimum, quite possibly, from the time that you're home from work or work ends before you turn the light out. Let's look at that time. In this scenario, we're talking from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Dinner is going to happen. You have to prep dinner. I'll give you 30 minutes for that. You have to eat dinner. I'll give you another 30 minutes for that. You're at an hour. Now it's 7 p.m. and you're prepping for the next day. Maybe it's your clothes, it's the shower, because by 8 p.m. your favorite show is on, right? So now we have 2 hours down out of the four. It's 8 p.m. Maybe it's your favorite show. It's a half an hour sitcom. Now it's 8:30, and there's still an hour and a half left before you turn the light out. What could be done in this scenario? Well, there are a lot of things that you could do that will fit with what you already have going on. Does it make sense when you get home that once you prep dinner, is there a window? Is there, or before dinner prep, could you carve out those 30 minutes before you jump into those family activities, before you jump into um, to cooking? It's up to you, right? It's been a long day if that's even possible. But remember, what we're doing here is we're looking for an opportunity to no longer say this is not possible, that this is impossible because there's so much that I have to do. We're going to find this half an hour in the evening. And is this half an hour possible from 6 p.m. to 6:30? If it is, in the new schedule, that's what's happening. From 6 to 6:30 is the me time. I am deciding from 6 to 6:30, what does that look like for me? It might not be exercise. As a matter of fact, the 6 to 6:30 could be that quiet time where you come home and you relax first. It could even be that really nice bath or super long hot shower just to give yourself a chance to de-stress from the day and feel good. Because remember earlier that day at 6:15 a.m., you were working out. So you don't have to repeat a workout. Maybe you decide on that day, that's the day you decide to tweeze the hairs away, do your facial mask, take the fingernail polish off. I don't know, right? But whatever it is, this is a half an hour to you before you have to jump back into this routine of taking care of the day to day. There you have it. You have that 1 hour, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. We're doing that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Maybe the time changes a bit because some days maybe you get off of work a little earlier or later. Maybe the workday starts later. And what about those days where you have that non-negotiable thing that happens in the evening? Well, now you know you'll get a chance to evaluate that. What is happening before this in stone obligation? Or what could happen earlier in that morning? At the end of the day, not only do we have enough time to make the time that we need for ourselves possible, but a key indicator or a key factor to making this happen on repeat is the energy to do it. Actually feeling like this is something that I want to do. So it goes full circle because if energy is not there and energy is part of the reason why this feels impossible, how successful will you be building the energy that's needed if you are not finding a way to put that energy where it should be? If you are not intentional about taking steps to reboot, to reset, and build that energy. Just like that budget we talked about earlier, when you sit down and you look at all of your expenses and then you look at the income coming in and how to balance that out and figure out a way to take care of all the bills and have a cushion of a savings, we do the same thing with our time. That time is an investment. And so easily, just like when it's time to pay those bills, you go on a repeat. There's this cycle of how you take care of things that you could miss opportunities to save or even, you know, a situation where you look at your finances and you see that, whoa, there are a few other things that we could do. Doing the same thing with your time, ladies, that's the level up. That's the next step. The time is there. The difference is the ability to use self-awareness, the ability to this is that journaling, right? We're notating our time and we're being conscious of how we spend it, and then we go, hey, time is my most valuable asset. It's going to give me what I need. And especially if you're in a place where energy is low and you know you want to pick it up, if you are in a place where you are, I mean, with the year just started, and yet at the end of the day, if we didn't reset before January 1, that means we're still carrying the weight of 2024. So, how will you turn the dial on this? You don't have to add more time to the day. You already have the time. All we have to do is manage our activities and decide what we are going to prioritize while at the same time making it all fit. Because the goal is to reduce overwhelm, not add to it, but also boost our energy in a natural way by making the time to do those things that will pour into us. So, that is our self care Sunday tip, how to give yourself 5 hours of self care Monday through Friday during that work week. Figure out your formula, sis. Get that system in place. And then, you set that goal and you decide, well, hey, when am I going to start this? And what will I do with 5 hours of self care Monday through Friday? That's the fun part. Take this video, watch it on repeat, share it with a friend. There's somebody out there who you want and know is deserving of carving out some of that time. And we want to do it daily. We're not waiting till the weekend to reset from 5 days of everything. It's so much better when we get into a habit where we're able to give our bodies and our mind that reset on a daily basis. And that is self care elevated. That is actually how we live beautifully well. And if you're looking to level up and step up your health goals with intention and with support, you'll see the links. Check out Beautifully Well in 30 days. Have to give this plug. It's available on Amazon for $29.99. If you love to write in a book, but you're looking for a bit more motivation in terms of stress management, nutrition support, we have our dietitian Christie's meal plan is in there for you to see nice, live, colorful visuals, action planning, meal planning. Check out Beautifully Well in 30 days. It's out there on Amazon. As usual, beautifuls, thank you for tuning in. And you know the line, you're already beautiful. Let's get beautifully well.